The video came through late at night, the notification blinking on my phone screen as I lay on my bed. I wasn't expecting anything, especially from Uncle Sam. But there it was. "You've got to see this," the message said, followed by a link to a video. My heart skipped a beat, but I didn't open it right away. I knew something was off. Uncle Sam wasn't the type to send random clips, and the little warning in his text didn't sit right with me. I should have known it was coming. I should have noticed the way my sister, Maya, had been acting differently lately. It had been a week since she'd pulled that stunt on me, a harmless prank that had left me feeling like a fool. But deep down, I knew it wasn't just a prank. Something felt off, like I'd been played, and not in the fun way. When I finally opened the video, my breath hitched in my throat. It was a recording of Maya, my own sister, sitting with friends, laughing about how she'd tricked me. The way she laughed so freely, so unapologetically, sent a chill down my spine. There was no remorse, just pure amusement as she recounted how she'd manipulated me into believing I was the one who'd messed up. I watched in silence, the weight of betrayal heavy on my chest. I wanted to scream, to call her out right then and there, but I didn't. Not yet. I stayed silent, my fingers hovering over the screen. The words I wanted to say were stuck in my throat, and the more I watched, the more I realized that maybe staying silent was the best choice for now. I didn't know what I was going to do, but I knew one thing for sure. This wasn't over. And when I did speak, it would be on my terms. The silence between Maya and me had been building up for days, but it wasn't just the prank anymore. It was everything. The way she'd always been the life of the party, always the center of attention, always the one with the perfect smile and charm. She had this uncanny ability to make people adore her, to get away with things I would never dare to even try. And I always felt like the background character in her story, quiet, unnoticed, and to be honest, a little resentful of her effortless ability to navigate the world. But I had to admit, I never thought it would come to this. Growing up, Maya and I were close. Too close. We shared everything. Our secrets, our dreams, our fears. I'd confide in her about the things that made me anxious, the moments that made me doubt myself. And she, being the older sister, always had an answer for everything. I looked up to her, trusted her, and thought that our bond was unbreakable. Until now. Until that video. The betrayal cut deeper because it wasn't just the prank itself. It was how she laughed about it, how she turned something so personal into a joke. She'd always had a playful streak, but this was different. It wasn't playful anymore. It felt cruel. Uncle Sam had always been the mediator in our family, the one who'd somehow always kept the peace. His messages had a way of getting through to us when things got tense. But now, his message felt like a warning shot across the bow. I didn't know if he was trying to bring us together or make me see something about Maya I hadn't noticed before. Or maybe he was trying to make me confront the reality that Maya's behavior was more than just a silly game. The more I thought about it, the more I realized how I'd let things slip. Over the years, I'd allowed myself to become the quiet one, the one who played by the rules, the one who did everything right. While Maya was the one who bent those rules and got away with it. I used to admire her for it, but now I couldn't help but wonder if it was time to stop being the good kid. It wasn't just Maya, though. The entire dynamic of our family had shifted over the past few months. My mom had been distant, constantly preoccupied with work, and my dad, well, he had always been the kind of father who did things out of obligation, not out of love. He showed affection through duty, through paying bills and fixing things, not through words or actions that actually made us feel seen. It had been like that for as long as I could remember. Uncle Sam, on the other hand, had always been the emotional anchor of the family. He was the one who'd take us out for ice cream when things felt off, the one who'd listen without judgment, the one who genuinely cared. He was the one who saw both of us, the good and the bad in Maya, the potential and struggles in me. But even Uncle Sam had his own issues, buried deep under years of trying to keep peace in a family that often didn't seem to know what peace even meant. The message from Uncle Sam had planted a seed of doubt in my mind, one that I couldn't ignore. He'd sent the video for a reason, and I had to know why. Was he telling me to confront Maya, or was he trying to prepare me for something bigger? His words lingered in my mind. "You've got to see this." I wasn't sure if he was warning me or trying to give me a wake-up call, but one thing was certain. He knew something I didn't. I couldn't shake the feeling that this was about more than just a prank. It felt like the beginning of something much more significant, a turning point in the story of my relationship with Maya, and maybe even with the entire family. It was almost as if we were all trapped in our roles, playing out the parts we had learned over the years, unable to break free from the expectations placed on us. Maya was the charming, fearless one who could manipulate any situation to her favor, and I was the quiet one who had learned to stay out of trouble. But I wasn't sure I wanted to stay quiet anymore. I wasn't sure I wanted to let her control the narrative anymore. That night, as I lay in bed, I thought about what I would say to her. What would I even say? How would I approach the situation without sounding petty or vindictive? My emotions were all over the place. Betrayal, anger, hurt, and even a little guilt for feeling this way about my own sister. But at the same time, I knew something had to change. And then it hit me. This wasn't just about Maya. This was about me, about how I'd let myself be the background character in my own life. Maybe it was time to step forward, to take control of the situation. Maybe it was time to stop playing by the rules and start rewriting them. But for now, all I could do was wait, stay silent, and think about what to do next. The tension between us hung in the air, thick and suffocating, and I knew that sooner or later I'd have to confront it. The question was, how? The silence between Maya and me stretched on for days, a wall that seemed to grow taller with every passing minute. We barely spoke. Whenever I saw her, I could feel the weight of her laughter from that video, like it echoed in the space between us. She was the same as ever, effortlessly charming, always smiling, making everyone around her feel special. But I could see it now, the mask she wore, the way she hid behind it to get away with things. She never showed anyone the real Maya, the one who could be manipulative, self-centered, and, frankly, cruel. The side of her that was starting to show more and more. It wasn't just the prank anymore. It wasn't just about being tricked into looking like an idiot. It was the bigger picture that started to unravel the more I thought about it. The video was the catalyst, sure, but it was only the beginning of a deeper, darker realization. Maya had always been able to bend the truth, twist things in her favor, and I had always been the one left cleaning up the mess, silently enduring her behavior. But now, I wasn't so sure I could take it anymore. The weeks after the video felt like a pressure cooker, the tension building with every interaction. I watched her from the sidelines as she navigated her life with a confidence that I envied and resented in equal measure. She always knew what to say, how to move through the world, how to charm everyone into doing exactly what she wanted. But I wasn't fooled anymore. Not by her beauty or her charm, not by her confidence or the way she made everyone laugh. I saw through it now. I kept replaying the video in my mind. The way she laughed, her voice ringing out in that unbothered tone as she told her friends how she'd gotten one over on me. It wasn't just the fact that she had tricked me. It was how she had done it. So casually, so effortlessly, like it was just another part of the game. I had been the punchline, and she didn't care. What hurt the most wasn't the trick itself. It was the fact that she had found amusement in my pain. That's what stung, deep down, and that's what I couldn't shake. I couldn't bring myself. To confront her about it, not yet. Something in me told me I wasn't ready. I needed to understand what had shifted between us, what had caused this fracture in our relationship. But the more I thought about it, the more I realized that this wasn't just about the prank. Maya had always been the golden child, the one who could do no wrong in our parents' eyes. She had the attention, the admiration, the love. And what did I have? What did I have to offer? I had always played the part of the good kid, the quiet one, the one who kept her head down and tried to avoid making waves. But that wasn't enough anymore. I wasn't content with being invisible, with always being second to her. I remember the night everything started to change. It was a Friday, and our parents were out for dinner. Maya and I were left alone at home. The house was quiet, the kind of silence that makes everything feel more intense. Maya was on the couch, scrolling through her phone, her legs stretched out in front of her, looking effortlessly relaxed. I couldn't help but feel a pang of envy. She had this ease about her, a natural confidence that made everything look so simple. But that night, something felt different. There was an underlying tension in the air that neither of us could ignore. No, Maya said casually, not looking up from her phone. I still can't believe you fell for that prank. I mean, seriously, how could you not see it coming? I froze. It was like the floodgates had opened. The moment I'd been avoiding for days had finally arrived. I thought it was funny, I said, trying to keep my voice steady, trying to hold on to my calm. I mean, I get it. You were just messing around, but it wasn't funny when I saw the video, Maya. It didn't feel like a joke. She finally looked up at me, raising an eyebrow. What do you mean? It was just a prank. Come on, lighten up. You're acting like it's the end of the world. No, I said, my voice thick with emotion. It wasn't just a prank. It was the way you laughed about it, the way you treated it like it was no big deal. You made me look stupid, and then you made fun of me for it. It hurt, Maya. Her face hardened, the playful mask slipping for a second. Oh, come on. You're making a big deal out of nothing. Why are you always so sensitive about everything? It's just a joke. You've got to learn how to take a joke. I felt my anger building, the weight of everything I'd been holding and finally bursting through. It wasn't just a joke, Maya. And I'm not the only one who sees it. You do, this all the time. You manipulate people. You twist things to make yourself look good, and no one ever calls you out on it because they're all too busy loving you. Her eyes narrowed. Are you jealous of me or something? Is that what this is about? I almost laughed at how ridiculous she sounded, but I didn't. No, I'm not jealous. I just don't want to be your punching bag anymore, Maya. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of being the one who's always supposed to forgive you. Always supposed to laugh it off. I'm tired of pretending everything's okay when you keep pushing me around. There was a long, tense silence. For a moment, I thought she might say something, apologize, or at least try to explain herself. But she didn't. Instead, she just shrugged, her posture casual again. Well, I don't know what you want from me. I don't have time for this right now. And just like that, the conversation was over. She got up, walked to her room, and left me standing there, feeling like I'd just hit a brick wall. That was the thing about Maya. She had this way of deflecting, of never letting anyone get too close to the truth. She always found a way to turn everything around, to make it about me, to make me feel like I was the one who was in the wrong. But something had changed in me. I wasn't going to back down. I wasn't going to let her manipulate me into silence anymore. The video had opened my eyes to the reality of who she was, and now I had to decide what I was going to do about it. It was clear that things couldn't stay the same. The quiet, resentful tension between us had been building for years, and now it was on the verge of exploding. The question was, could we fix it? Could I confront her and make her see what she had done? Or had things gone too far for redemption? The confrontation had been a long time coming. That much was clear. After days of silence, weeks of simmering resentment, and months of keeping everything buried deep inside, the time had finally arrived. Maya and I couldn't avoid it anymore. Something had to give, or we would both be left standing in the wreckage of a relationship that had once been so close, so effortless. It started on a Sunday afternoon, the house empty, our parents gone, for a day trip. Maya was in her room, blasting music as usual, the bass thumping through the walls. I stood outside her door for what felt like an eternity, my hand hovering over the doorknob. This was it, the moment I had been both dreading and waiting for. The weight of everything I'd been holding on to pressed down on my chest. I wasn't sure if I was ready for this, but I knew one thing. I couldn't keep hiding behind my silence anymore. I took a deep breath and opened the door. Maya looked up, surprised, and then her face softened into that familiar, disarming smile. "What's up?" she asked, pulling her earbuds out. I didn't respond immediately. I stood there, gathering, the courage to say what had been eating at me for so long. "We need to talk," I said, my voice more steady than I felt. Maya looked up, surprised, and then her face softened into that familiar, disarming smile. "What's up?" she asked, pulling her earbuds out. I didn't respond immediately. I stood there, gathering the courage to say what had been eating at me for so long. "We need to talk," I said, my voice more steady than I felt. Her smile faltered slightly, but she didn't say anything. She just looked at me, as if waiting for me to speak, as if she expected this to be another one of those pointless, quiet conversations where I back down and everything goes back to normal. But this time, I wasn't backing down. "About the prank," I started, and her eyes narrowed slightly, the playful innocence she usually wore slipping away. "I watched the video you sent me. And honestly, Maya, I'm pissed. Not because of the prank itself, I get it, we've had our share of stupid jokes, but because of the way you laughed about it, the way you treated it like I was just some joke you could make fun of in front of your friends. You made me look stupid, Maya. You made me feel stupid." Her expression hardened, but she didn't interrupt. She just stared at me, her arms crossed, waiting for me to finish. "You don't get it, do you?" I continued, my voice rising with the emotions I had held back for so long. "You do this all the time. You manipulate people, twist things to your advantage, and everyone just lets you get away with it. Well, not anymore. I'm not going to be the one who sits quietly in the background while you get everything you want at everyone else's expense." For a long moment, there was only silence. Her face was unreadable, her eyes cold, and I couldn't tell if she was angry or just bored. But I didn't stop. I had come this far, and I wasn't about to back down now. "I'm not jealous of you, Maya," I said, my voice softer now, "but I'm tired of being invisible. I'm tired of always playing second fiddle to you. You've always been the golden child, the one everyone loves, the one who gets away with everything. But I'm not that person anymore. I'm not going to let you make me feel small anymore." Maya stared at me, her lips pressed tightly together, her fists clenched at her sides. For a moment, I thought she was going to shout, to say something to defend herself, but she didn't. She just stood there seething, her eyes locked onto mine. "You think you're the only one who's tired?" she finally said, her voice quiet, almost dangerous. "You think I haven't been trying to make everyone happy? I have to keep up this perfect image, this perfect life, and you think that's easy? You think you're the only one who feels invisible?" I was taken aback by her words. It wasn't what I expected. Maya had always been the one in control, the one who seemed so unbothered by everything. But now I saw something in her. Something real, something vulnerable, that I had never seen before. You don't get it, Maya, I said, shaking my head. I'm not saying your life is perfect, but it's always been about you. It's always been about what you want, what you need. No one ever stops to think about what I want, what I need. And I'm not going to let you keep playing this game. Anymore, I'm done being the silent one. For the first time in ages, Maya looked unsure of herself. The mask she'd always worn cracked for just a moment, and I saw the exhaustion in her eyes, the weight of expectations she'd carried for years. I'm sorry, she whispered, her voice barely audible. I didn't know it was like that, for you. I felt a wave of relief wash over me, but it was fleeting. The damage had been done, and no apology could undo the years of feeling like I didn't matter. But in that moment, I realized something. Maya wasn't the person I had thought she was. She wasn't perfect, and neither was I. We both had our flaws, our insecurities. And maybe, just maybe, we could start being honest with each other. I know, I said, my voice softer now, but we have to start being real with each other, Maya. No more games. She nodded slowly, her eyes filling with a mixture of regret and something else I couldn't quite place. The air between us was thick with unresolved tension, but for the first time in a long time, it felt like something had shifted. It wasn't a resolution, not yet, but it was the beginning of something real, something that could, perhaps, lead to healing. I'm sorry too, she said, her voice breaking slightly. I didn't mean to hurt you. I nodded, my heart still heavy but lighter than it had been in weeks. The weight of everything between us hadn't vanished completely, but it felt like we had taken the first step toward understanding, toward breaking down the walls that had separated us for so long. I don't know if I can forgive you right away, I said, finally admitting the truth. But I'm willing to try. And with that, the silence between us wasn't so suffocating anymore. It was just the beginning, but it was enough. In the days that followed, the air between Maya and me was still thick with the remnants of our confrontation. We didn't talk about the argument again. Not immediately. But there was a subtle shift in how we interacted, like we were both circling around something deeper, something unspoken. I knew it wasn't going to be an overnight fix. No conversation or apology could undo years of built-up tension. But for the first time in a long time, there was space between us. Space for understanding, space for change. Maya wasn't perfect, and neither was I. We both had our issues to work through, and it was clear that we had a long way to go. But I could see in her eyes now, in the way she looked at me when we passed each other in the hall, that she was trying. She was trying to see me, not as a background character in her life, but as someone with my own feelings, my own needs. And I was trying to see her, not just as the confident, popular sister who always had everything figured out, but as a person who was struggling too, who had her own insecurities hidden beneath the surface. The days were still tense at times, but they weren't as suffocating as they had been before. We had our moments, small, quiet moments where we didn't need to say anything at all. A glance across the room, a slight nod when we passed in the hallway, the faintest of smiles when we were both caught in a moment of silence. It wasn't much, but it was progress. I couldn't say I had fully forgiven her yet, and maybe I never would. But the anger that had once simmered beneath the surface was slowly starting to fade, replaced by a cautious hope. Maybe, just maybe, this was the beginning of something new. A relationship that wasn't built on expectations, manipulation, or silence, but on honesty and mutual respect. Uncle Sam had sent me that video for a reason, though I still wasn't entirely sure why. Maybe he was trying to show me what was really going on beneath the surface. Maybe he was trying to wake me up to the reality of who Maya had become, or maybe he just wanted to get me to confront the truth. But regardless of his intent, I realized that I had learned something about myself in the process. I had learned that silence wasn't always the answer, that staying passive, letting things slide, only built up resentment. And I had learned that sometimes standing up for myself, speaking the truth, even when it hurt, was the only way to move forward. The next time Maya and I sat down together, it was over breakfast, a rare occasion where we were both in the kitchen at the same time. She was stirring her coffee absently, and I was picking at my cereal, avoiding eye contact. The tension was still there, but it felt different. Lighter, somehow. She broke the silence first, her voice tentative. "I've been thinking about what you said," she started, not looking up. "And I get it now. I've been selfish. I didn't realize how much I've been hurting you, and I'm sorry." I looked up at her then, my heart swelling with a mixture of surprise and cautious optimism. Maya wasn't one to apologize lightly, but there was something in her words that felt real. Raw. "Thank you," I said softly, not sure what else to add. The words didn't seem to come easily, but I knew they were sincere. She met my gaze for a moment, then looked down at her cup. "I've been afraid, you know. Afraid that if I stopped pretending to have it all together, everyone would see how messed up I really am. So I kept up the act, and I pushed you away without even realizing it." I nodded, a quiet understanding settling between us. "I get that. I've been pretending too, pretending to be fine, pretending that I don't care when I do. But I can't do that anymore. Not with you, not with anyone." Maya's eyes softened, and for the first time, I saw something other than the polished, perfect version of her. I saw vulnerability. Raw, unguarded. It was almost like we were both seeing each other for the first time. "We'll figure this out," she said quietly, the words holding more weight than they should have. "Together." For a moment, neither of us spoke. The sound of the clock ticking on the wall was the only noise in the room, but it wasn't uncomfortable. It was peaceful, like the calm after a storm, the air clear and fresh. I didn't know what the future held for us, or if things would ever be the same. I didn't know if Maya and I could ever return to the way things were before, or if we even should. But I did know this. Things were changing, slowly, but surely. We were both learning how to be honest with each other, how to face the truth without fear of rejection or judgment, and that was enough for now. As the days passed, I could feel the weight of the past start to lift. We still had our moments of awkwardness, of tension, but they no longer defined our relationship. We were learning how to rebuild what had been broken, piece by piece, and for the first time in a long time, I felt hopeful. Hopeful that, with time, we could move beyond the hurt, beyond the silence, and create something better, something real. It wasn't going to be easy, but we were finally starting to understand each other. And that, I realized, was the first step toward healing. A few weeks had passed since that day in the kitchen, and while the air between Maya and me wasn't entirely free from tension, it was different now. There was something unspoken between us, a fragile understanding that we had both been carrying burdens we hadn't fully understood until now. It wasn't perfect, and I knew there would be setbacks, but there was also a quiet hope that I hadn't felt before. The silence that once smothered our relationship had begun to fade, replaced by moments of real connection, however small. That morning, as I walked past Maya's room, I heard her laughing, genuine, unguarded laughter. It wasn't the forced, kind she used to mask her insecurities, nor the mocking laughter from the video. This was different. It was the kind of laughter that came from a place of true joy, and for the first time in ages I found myself smiling. It wasn't the way I thought things would get better, but it was enough. Maya came into the living room later that day, her eyes meeting mine with a soft smile. "Hey," she said, a bit awkward but sincere. "Thanks for, well, everything, for not giving up on me." I didn't have the right words to fully express how much that meant, but I didn't need to. The weight that had once burdened me felt lighter now, and as I nodded in response, I realized something important. We weren't perfect, but we were trying. We had taken the first real step towards something that, with time, could turn into a stronger, more honest relationship. And for now, that was enough.